Hello, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Hello, good morning. Okay, we'll start the class. Yesterday we looked at different ways to place the concrete and how to handle the concrete, that is to transport the concrete from one place to other place. Basically, the place where we mix the concrete and the place where we have to place our concrete to the former. And then the actual construction site. Okay, so depending on the size of the project and the distance of the construction site and then exposed conditions, you choose your handling methods. So that will give you the required performance of concrete to place it in good condition. So we looked at the different ways to place the concrete. So we have discussed about normal conventional placing and then slip forming and shotcrete. This where we spray the concrete or the mortar on the surface on which it has to be placed. Especially it is preferred when the surface area is huge and like both in horizontal and vertical direction. So you will choose this kind of placing method. So here, this is just a quick recap. So yesterday we looked at these will be effective when you do this concreting for tunnel structures, and sometimes you will use this type of methods to strengthen the bridge structures. So you'll be just placing or pouring this concrete layer at the bottom of this structure, so that will give or enhance the capacity of that member. Another way is that chummy method. So this is especially useful when we look at or when you have to pour concreting in a place where it is too congested or it has to be placed, especially underwater concreting. So it is suitable for deep forms where we have to pour our concrete to certain depths below the ground level. So it's suitable for deep forms and it is mainly used for underwater concreting. So here the purpose is, you can see in this image, we have a pipe and hopper is there. So on which we will pour the concrete, and this pipe is inserted into the place or the level where you have to pour your concrete member. So in that case, the concrete will be poured here and it will be fill the place by its workability, and it is fed by the gravity through to have the direct access to the place. The flow or the placing should be by the self of the mix itself. So it has to be placed by its own gravity. So the mix should be such a way that it is cohesive, and the gas should be given if you have your mix is segregating or bleeding. Because if the mix got segregated, then this placing will not be attained effectively. Some concretes may get stuck here, or this may not be uniform voids in your place. And this depends on the materials that you use for your concrete. So when you have high cement content or high proportions of fines and any materials that helps to enhance your workability in terms of using poisons or any chemical admixtures. So those will help you to achieve or meet this cohesive mix or good workable mix. So here you can see the placement of the concreting. You have the hopper where you fill the concrete, and then you have watertight joints here. So here you have some sealants where you can close and open the part, and then you have the opening. So when you pour your concrete, So you ensure that the vertical pipe is always filled by concrete so that it expels any water or air that is present in the pipe. So to ensure that, you should choose such a way that your hopper capacity is equal to the volume of your vertical pipe. By ensuring that, you can ensure that water and the air is not accumulated or filled in the traveling path. So once it is done, and you can see based on your cohesive material, your concrete will be uniformly spread across the locations. And if you have to do this concreting for a large, especially if you want to cover, it is advised to lift this setup, semi setup, and then move to the place where you have to place, instead of just horizontally moving the semi pipe. Why? Because when you move horizontally, that may disturb the concrete that is placed here. So this concrete may get disturbed. When you move horizontally. When you move this, so not to disturb your concrete, you have to lift it vertically and then place where you have to pour the concrete. Another way is, if you really have a large area to ensure, then using or relying on one semi pipe may not be advisable because it is time consuming and it involves a lot of work. So in that case, using multiple number of semi pipe or this setup will be helpful to achieve a effective placing of concrete. So here you can see a place, it's a deep well, it's not underground concreting. So in the deep well, the pipe arrangement is there. You can see the hopper, and you will be pouring your concrete in the hopper, and then based on its flowability or workability, the concrete will be filled in the particular location. Right? So far we looked at batching of concrete and then mixing of concrete and handling of concrete, that is transporting the concrete, and then placing of concrete. This is the last part which talks about the compaction of concrete. So why do we do compaction? Because we want to expel the entrapped air that is there in the fresh placed concrete between the aggregate particles. So when you expel your entrapped air from your concrete, so that helps to reduce your voids. So basically that helps to reduce your voids. If voids are reduced, then permeability, that is a path for foreign elements to get in, will be reduced, and that will improve your strength and durability, because when you reduce your voids or when you reduce the entrapped air, that helps you to compact the structure, and eventually that will result in increase in density of concrete. So when the density of concrete increases, strength will be improved. When the pore sizes or the voids, when the voids get reduced and when the permeability gets reduced, your durability will be increased. So achieving the high density and less voids will help you to increase strength and durability. And by doing so, you can ensure that your concrete will be in a good uniform placement without any honeycomb or any defects. Okay, so in general, again, this compaction, the level of compaction or the degree of compaction depends on your workability of the concrete. If you have a slump very low, then the compaction required will be more. If you have a good slump, or if you have a good flowability, then the energy required for compacting that particular mix will be less. So low slump concrete contains more entrapped air because the compaction will be less in that case. So it will have more entrapped air. So to compact that, you need to give lot of energy and more effort is required to compact the low slump concrete. So that's why we give optimum limits depending on the applications or the structure where you have to place your concrete. The workability limits will be given. So you can see IS 456. So that specifies. So in the mixed design, you might have seen the workability mentioned, the slump value mentioned in IS 456. So that has mentioned the slump for the required application. Either if you want to place your concrete for foundation, or if you want to place your concrete for buildings or bridge structures, and again depends on the environmental conditions. Either it is aggressive environment, very severe, or normal or mild. So all these conditions will be looked at to check the workability, and depending on the workability, your compaction will vary. So if you have low slump workability, basically your matrix will be very stiff. So you will end up putting lot of effort to compact the concrete. Right. So now let's look at method of the in mixing and transporting. We have both manual and mechanical ways to do compaction. And the determining factor would be the requirement, reinforcement qualities and the spacings, quantities and spacing. So if your reinforcement is the spacing is too large, if the reinforcement placing is too close, in that case you will have congested bus. So if you have congested reinforcement, sometimes manual compaction may not be advisable. So depending on the number of rebars and the spacing between the rebars will determine the compaction method you have to choose. And then concrete paste consistency, that is the workability of concrete. As I said, if you have low slump, then the workability will be less. You will have stiff matrix. So in that case, you need to put lot of effort to compact the structure. Whereas if you have a high workability, you have to put less effort comparing to the one which has low slump. So these factors determine the method which we adapt for compacting the concrete and the formwork complexity. So this basically depends on the shape of the formwork. If the formworks are in standard shapes or regular shapes, then you may not have significant difficulties to compact your concrete. But if you have complex shapes for aesthetic appearances or purpose, so you will end up having different shapes of formwork, so which may not be friendly to use the conventional ways of compaction method. So those things will help you to choose your compaction method. So let's look at the manual compaction method. So in manual compaction method, that is typically used for small concreting works, especially when you have plain concrete or some unimportant works or small works. They just do manual compaction. They will just pour the concrete in its place, and using rod or some wood stripes, they'll just tap the surface, and I think the structure is compacted. So most often the compaction by this manual thing will not be that consistent or uniform. Variation will be more, and IS codes specifications were there to follow the manual compaction. So if you are doing the manual compaction, so you should do the compaction in layers, maybe for about 75 to 100 mm thickness. Again, so you have to pour it in layers, and then you have to compact each layer about 25 times. So how we do this slump or workability test. So those things I will discuss in fresh properties. So basically what we are doing is to ensure uniformity, we are limiting the layers thickness and the length to which it has to be applied, and then each layer will be compacted to certain number, uniform number, so about 20 times generally. So that way help you to achieve kind of uniform mix and helps you to reduce the variation in your concrete. The purpose of compaction is that you should minimize the honeycomb as much as possible. And this is more suitable where, especially in your small project where you have congested reinforcements, and if the congested reinforcements are there, sometimes vibrating equipments may not reach that location. So in that case, you may use this manual compaction. So there are three ways of doing manual compaction. One is rodding, so where you will be placing concrete in a container or the formwork which has to be placed, and then you just tap the concrete in layers. So this rodding diameter is specified in codes, and the thickness is generally 15 to 20 centimeter, and you can use the rod of the specified size. And this will be done continuously over the area where you want to remove or expel the gear. Stamping is applicable for the plain concrete on ground level and around foundations. So typically this is not advisable for reinforced concrete structures because here the compaction may not reach to the certain depth, and mostly this will be just like a plain concrete. If you want to compact the ground level, you can use. You might have seen this kind of compaction in your houses or in your surroundings, even especially when you are just in a simple applications where the gardening or farming. There you can see people might have used this kind of methods to level the grounds and compact the ground. And the third method is damping your concrete surface using a wooden beam or any strips like this. So here you will be again it will be useful for both compaction and leveling purpose. So you will tap it to compact and then you will swipe it to level the top surface. So this will help you to attain a smooth surface at the top. And this is typically used in roof slabs and road pavements. Generally, these manual methods are not advisable to use for large constructions, where if you are doing a small work or repair work in your residential buildings, maybe this will be easy to adapt. And in a road pavement ways, where you cannot, in a rural area or where you cannot reach the mechanical methods, these will be good alternatives. So now we will see the mechanical ways to compact these structures. So we have needle vibrations mostly. We do so compaction is just by tapping it, we are going to expel the air bubbles from the concrete. So by vibrating your concrete matrix, because there is not in solid form, there is in a semi-solid or liquid form. So in that case, vibrating your concrete will help to obtain a good compactability, and the air will be removed significantly. Basically, during this vibration, you are breaking the friction between the aggregate particles temporarily, and then that helps to remove the voids or the air from the concrete structures, and then the spacing between will be compacted. So that helps your concrete to behave like a liquid when the friction between the aggregates get disturbed. And then once it is vibrated, and then the place will be left alone, then the friction will be redeveloped and the bonding will start once the concrete start setting. So this settles under gravity action, and the air bubbles move upward to the surface when we do this vibration. And then once the internal friction is re-established, as soon as the vibration stops, the concrete starts setting. So this is the most common ways in normal construction. I think depending on the compaction method, we have internal vibrators. So where you place vibrators inside the concrete. You have internal vibrators, and then external vibrators depending on the location where you have to. So now let's look at the method using compaction method using internal vibrators. Here you can see the compactor vibrator shown here in this image. Here, so you have this hose and you have this head, which is the one which is going to vibrate your concrete. So you have motor here and then flexible soft and this head poker. So this poker will be inserted where you have to compact your structure. So here in this case, you can see the poker will run. Then the poker can easily be removed and moved one point to the other, such that the compaction will be ensured along the length of the member. And these vibrators will be used especially when you do this casting place pose. But there are exceptions where this cannot be used when, especially the reinforcements are too dense. So when you have to use this type of vibrators, you should have allowable spacing such a way that the vibrator can go easily and it can be removed easily without disturbing the surrounding structures. Like if you have reinforcement or once the concrete is placed, while removing it, you should remove it carefully. You should remove this in a vertical way so that the place occupied by the head will be filled once it is removed by the workability of the concrete itself. Whereas if you remove inclined way or if you disturb or if you remove it by rotating the poker, so that kind of disturbs the concrete around the structure. So sometimes they may give some impression over the point or it may not be closed effectively once it is removed. So to ensure a good finishing or good way of obtaining compaction, once the vibration is done, you have to slowly take it out. Though these methods will help you to compact the concrete, the actual compaction level has to be judged by your experience, because all these are like tools that you use. But how long you have to use, how short you have to use, all things you should make your judgment based on your observation. Because here in this case, you can see the appearance of concrete in this region which is not compacted. Here, this is the region which is compacted. So after compaction, you can see the change in the concrete flow, and then the way it looks, the surface will be more smooth once it is vibrated. And here you just poured your concrete, so there the concrete taste is kind of loose and it will not be that tight. So that kind of judgment, the required compaction has to be judged based on your observation. So that comes when you experience and explore a lot of things in this field. So there are the dimensions in the commercially available equipment generally. The diameter of this head will vary from 20 to 180 mm, and the length will vary from 20 to 90 mm. And this kind of helps you to determine which type of vibrators have to be chosen for the particular location. If the distance between these reinforcement gauging is too less, maybe 20 mm would be fine. Or if the distance is between these two is large, then you have to go. You can go with the higher head level also, so to obtain a effective compaction. And the motor can be operated by electricity or gases. So that's all with internal vibrators. And now we can look at these external vibrators. So this external vibrator, or when you have to place concrete in the conjunction places. So in such cases, these vibrators are attached externally, and then that will help you to vibrate and compact your concrete. Most often, these will be clamped to the formwork so that this vibrator shakes the formwork, and then the formwork shakes your concrete for compaction. So we are not directly vibrating the concrete; we are vibrating the formwork placed in the formwork. So here cash will be given because you are vibrating the forms, so that requires certain amount of energy. And to take that vibration, your formwork has to be strong, and it has to be in its position while it is getting vibrated, because most often formworks will be connected together. The pieces are connected together to keep it in particular shape. So in that case, the formwork should not get disturbed while vibrating. So if it gets disturbed, then the shape of the member will also be changed. So it has to be very strong and tight good to prevent any distortion and the leakage of grout. Because when your connection is not good, and mostly the fine particles or the cement and sand particles, so the grout or the mortar from the concrete will get leaked through the joints. So you have to give these scales. Your formwork should be strong and it should not leak or get disturbed when it is vibrated. Then these are essentially useful when you have very thin members. So if your member is thin, the depth will also be less, and sometimes spacing will also be too close. So in that case, for placing internal vibrator, you should have some adequate depth. Then only it will just go and do this accelerating movement to vibrate your or to compact your concrete. So especially when you have thin members, in that case, internal vibrators will not be effective. Such case, you have to use this external vibrators where you have to place the vibrators on the formwork to compact the member. So here, all these vibrators are working based on the motor that is attached to it. So you have to give certain frequency to allow the vibrations. So typically these are the specified frequencies, and this will help you to obtain a good finishing quality. And comparing to internal vibrators, this consumes more power and thus less efficient than internal vibrators. So here, based on the type or how we use, we have two types of external vibrators. The first type is the vibrators are attached to the formwork. Okay, so you are vibrating the formwork and thus that vibrates the concrete. And the second thing is when formwork is attached to external vibrator. So that means you are placing your formwork on the external vibrator. So there are two things. One, you are attaching the vibrator to the formwork, so where you have a large members. So there you will just go and keep vibrators at certain locations and do compaction. And the second case, you have a large vibrating table. So you are going to keep your formwork in a vibrating table itself. So you are going to keep it on the external vibrator. So depending on how you attach or place the formwork, you have two methods for your compaction. So now let's look at the first type where we have these form vibrators. So in there you have, this shows an example, you have your formwork to place the concrete, and you will be placing the vibrators attached to the formwork at a certain distance. So and you takes, and when you are when you have tested reinforcement. And in other case, stiff mixes also, because we know for internal vibrators, your mix should that is insensitive for, like that is not effective for low slump. So this low internal vibrators are not effective for low slump. That is stiff mix. So for that, this is not effective. So in that case, the form vibrators will be good for such applications, because there are certain applications where you have your workability have to be very stiff. So for that application, you can choose this form vibrators. And this is what the second type, where you have this shaking table, vibrating table, and then you will be placing your members, concrete specimens, or any laboratory specimens that can be kept and compacted here. So this will be useful in that case when you have small quantities of concrete, especially when you do concreting or preparing specimens for lab or some precast elements. So then in lab you will have this members like a table, so you can either concrete cubes or cylinders that can be filled and kept on its table, and you have our motor here, and you will have control on how much frequency have to be applied, and those are automated. By switching it on, your table will shake, and then generally the limit will be 1 or 2 minutes. By observing the level of workability, you can stop your compaction. And other case, precast units. So these things will be more common. So there, if you have standard sizes, so you will have a vibrating table for that particular size. So that will be helpful. So once the specimen is ready, once the concrete is ready, those specimens will be kept on the table to get compacted. So using this, you can do vibration both horizontally as well as vertically. And this is ideal for precast and laboratory purpose. So there are some vibrators called surface vibrators. This comes in the category as like you can place your concreting, and then on the top of your concreting or the surface of the concrete, you can place this vibrator to vibrate. So this will be effective when you have large surface area and when especially on the ground levels. So this is called screed board vibrators. This action is similar to the manual tamping, but here we are just doing it mechanically using this surface vibrator. So this vibrator is based on the screed board, and then vibration is given on the surface. And this is mainly useful for roof slabs and road pavements where you have thin, like less depth and large surface area. So this is not effective when your depth is increasing, right? And then mainly, like as I said, damping is like you're doing it on the surface, so it will be effective to certain depth only. So it cannot be used when your concrete member depth is more. Likewise, this will not be effective when you have reinforced concrete, because you are not going into the regions where the reinforcement is placed by this compaction. You're just doing it on the surface level. So in that case, this will be more effective when you have non-reinforced members and when you have thin slabs. And there are ways, electric hammer is also available in this form, that will be useful for compacting your test cubes. So this is how this this is the example of compaction using screed vibrators. So this is the road pavement. So where you can see concrete is placed, and then the screed vibrator is kept on the surface of the concrete, and you have motor here. So then this vibrates, and after a certain time, so it can be moved horizontally till the point it has to be, the concrete has to be compacted. So you can see the surface finish here and this region. So this has a good surface finish with good compatibility. And these are other ways of the stamping. You can see this is most common in this road construction pavement. You just place your concrete, and then this roller will help you to compact the surface. So it's the end of the compaction section. So the consequences of improper compaction would be, so if your compaction is not done, sometimes aggregate particles may get settled at certain regions, and you may not have fine particles to have good binding. So in that case, you will end up having honeycombs like this. So you will have huge voids on the concrete surface, and your concrete will be porous, and you can see a lot of voids on the surface. So we'll have excessive entrapped air voids. So that excessive entrapped air voids will lead to such pores on the inside as well as on the surface of the concrete. And sand streaks, that is something like the fine particles from the concrete, that is fine aggregate sand, will come off, and the stains of these tanks can be visible on the surface. And cold joints. That means I told in the last class, when you place your concrete, and the mixing or the placement of the next layer should be immediate. Similarly, if you place this concrete and if you do this compaction, and the next layer should also be compacted. That means cracking. So you can see cold joints here. So because of irregular inadequate compaction, you see a lot of discontinuity here. So this discontinuity makes it as two separate layers, and that forms cold joints. So this may lead to a heterogeneity in your concrete. So uniformity will not be achieved if the compaction is not done properly. And there are some effects that you can see when you do under vibration. So vibration is to expel air voids. So that when you have less vibrations, then your air will not be expelled effectively. So that may leave lot of entrapped air, so which will reduce the density of your concrete. Further, that will reduce the strength of your concrete. And sand streak is like when you have a lot of water, so the heavy bleeding washes the water. Then a harsh mix left behind the lacks workability. So if a lot of moisture washes the water, then you lack the workability there, and that will lead to insufficient fine aggregates because a lot of fine aggregates might have washed off due to that heavy bleeding. And placement lines means sometimes you can see the surface is not uniform and the dark lines between adjacent layer of concrete batches. It occurs when vibrator did not penetrate through underlying layers. So if the compaction is not done properly between this layer and this layer, so that may lead to such formation of permanent lines on the concrete surface. So these are the defects when you do under vibration, and there are defects when you do over vibration, that is segregation. So when you vibrate for longer period, heavier aggregates may get settled at the bottom, while lighter aggregates rises on the surface. So that kind of disturbs the uniformity of your matrix, and segregation will occur. And again, too much vibration will lead to bleeding. So a lot of water will come out of the surface, and that may lead to lot of moisture loss when it is exposed to environment. So in that case, this bleeding may induce shrinkage effect and causes a lot of crackings on the surface. And form damage. So these things, these vibrations we will do when the concrete is there in the formwork. So too much of the vibration may disturb the formwork, especially in some, most often wooden formworks are used, and nowadays steel formworks and plastic formworks are also being used. So if your formwork is wooden formwork and if it is used for, generally we use formworks repetitively for multiple number of constructions. So if it is gold or if the material is not good, the too much of vibration may damage your formwork. So under vibration is more often a problem than a over vibration, because by over vibration we can have a quick judgment. You can see your concrete is segregated, you can see your concrete is bleeded, so that kind of helps you to change your concrete mix before placing itself. But when you do under vibration, unless you like you will start looking at the differences in the concrete once it is placed. So unless until the visible signs or seen on the concrete surface, you will not know whether your concrete is under compacted or under vibrated. Whereas when the over vibration case, you can immediately see at the time of vibration itself whether the mix is segregated or bleeded, or if the damage formwork got damaged. So these you can observe at the time of compacting itself, but whereas under vibration you can see only it is placed on the concrete surface or at the position where it has to be placed, right? So this, I'm finishing this lecture. We will meet again at 10:30. Okay.